A group of boys stranded on a desert island reveal their darker nature in tonight's film in 30 minutes, William Golding's Lord of the Flies. Before that on BBC One, and 10 minutes later than billed, the start of a new 8-part series, courtroom drama, Accused.
Is your name Joyce Teresa Mary McCracken?
Yes.
Do you live at 21A Bevin Road, Bexham?
Yes.
Can you tell the court your date of birth?
15th of March, 1970.
If it may please your worships, the defendant is charged that on the 20th of last month she was found in possession of a Class A controlled substance, namely 1.8 grams of heroin.
Who's representing you today?
Nobody.
You should really have a solicitor.
I don't want a solicitor. I just want to plead guilty, pay my fine and get out of here.
I don't think you quite understand.
I'm pleading guilty. I just want this over with.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But this is a serious charge. And we strongly recommend that you go and speak to the duty solicitor. I'm only saying this because the court has your best interests at heart. Miss McCracken, do you understand? We're putting your case back till later this morning. Now, will you step down from the dock? There are other cases we need to deal with. Miss McCracken?
Apparently, Mrs. Holliday's car has been involved in a minor accident, your worship, so she'll be able to attend this morning.
Got a trial scheduled for 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we'd like to wait until there are 3 of us before tackling that.
If you feel it appropriate, I'll see if I can find a replacement. Meanwhile,
Bail enlargements.
Oi.
Why didn't you tell me it was this morning, eh? I don't want to think you're trying to avoid me or something.
Checking up on me.
Hey, I'm here to support you and look after you. You know what I say? A friend in need.
Richard Carter.
I've been told I've got to speak to the duty solicitor.
Oh, Mr. Mackie. This young lady would like a word.
Just wait there. I'll be 10 minutes.
Just sit on this.
You know, I've been worried sick about you.
For God's sake, will you go away?
It's all right, mate. I got it sorted. I'm looking after her. No worries. Why don't you relax?
Fine. Don't worry, I'm pleading guilty.
What? You're not going anywhere.
Let go of me!
what's going on here?
We're just having a little chat, that's all. She's a bit overexcitable, aren't you?
I don't feel well. I need the toilet.
Hormonal. Time of the month.
Any sign of my witness? No. Phone call? Anything? Nothing. I'll let you know as soon as he shows up. Will you let me know?
Right. Okay, bye-bye.
We've got a 5-minute break. Any news? Yep, that was the police. They just called round to his address. No reply. And Ian Dougal's out there smiling like a cat that got the cream.
The faffing round waiting for a third magistrate, and I've got 6 or 7 more adjournments. Once the replacement arrives, you're on your own.
Thanks. You're a bit sad sometimes, Jack, do you know that? Get out of here!
Can I get a witness?
That's better.
You read this, are the courts failing us? I agree with him.
Who's that?
Our MP.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
This isn't about politics.
Everything's about politics, Derek. Even your tie.
He's talking about us. If the courts are either unwilling or unable to deal firmly with the criminal, then Parliament must act.
Which category do you come into, Derek? Unwilling or unable?
Outvoted.
Must be wonderful being so certain about everything.
And here we are today, supposed to be hearing a trial. Case has already been put back twice and we can't even muster a full bench.
It's hardly the fault of the system, Derek.
It's just indicative, that's all.
Just to inform your worships, we've managed to get hold of Paul Harper, who's setting off now. Should be with us by 20 past.
But that's going to mean an all-male bench.
But in the circumstances.
Suits me.
Meanwhile, we can help our court too with further adjournments.
Come on, Derek. We've got a job to do.
Can you see me now?
1 minute. You all right?
You been living off the last 3 weeks, huh? Because you haven't been seen down Goodliff Road.
Social.
What, with a 50 quid a day habit? Come on, I'm not stupid. Where you been working?
I've been clean since you left, Benny. I don't care if you believe me or not.
You angry because I left? Look, there was nothing I could do about that. I had to go. But I'm back now, so come on, let's be friends.
You are not my friend.
Yeah, I'm with you in spirit, sweetheart. Just you remember that.
So you're sitting at home 4 weeks ago last Friday. Knock, knock. There are 9 police officers at the door, armed with a warrant. They turn the place over and find 2 wraps of heroin. That's an awful lot of coppers to bust one small-time junkie.
I'm not a junkie.
And I'm not a solicitor. Why so many policemen?
I'm not a junkie.
If you say so. Why so many policemen?
Why do you need to know any more?
Because it's my job to defend you. Why the big raid?
They weren't looking for me.
So who were they looking for?
I don't want this coming out in court.
Who were they looking for?
My boyfriend, Benny. Ex-boyfriend.
And where was he?
Done a runner that morning. Took all his gear with him.
Was he just lucky?
I doubt it.
So your boyfriend had been dealing drugs from the house?
He's not my boyfriend.
What shall I call him then? Pimp? Look, we're pressed for time. You'll make my job a whole lot easier if you stop playing silly games. Now, this Benny was your pimp and he's a dealer. He's had some sort of tip-off and done a runner, right?
I've been wanting rid of him for ages. I couldn't believe it when he went.
So if he left, took all his gear with him, and you're not a junkie, what was it the police found? Scotch mist?
I'm not saying I never had a habit.
So this was old stuff, was it? Stuff you've forgotten about?
As it happens, yeah. Look, I don't know. It could have been Benny's, it could have been mine. I mean, you couldn't lift a floorboard in that flat without finding a stash. I am off it, I swear.
So where's this Benny now? The man I saw you with?
Showed up 2 days ago. It's been non-stop hassle ever since. And now he's here this morning.
So it's Benny who should be in court today, not you, right? If I were to ask you, off the record, if you're guilty or not guilty, what would the answer be? I'd hazard a guess. The answer would be not guilty. Am I right?
I suppose.
Good. Well, I think you should tell that to the bench today. I'll make an application for an adjournment. That means your case will be heard a few weeks from now. It'll give us time to put our evidence together, and I think you stand a very good chance.
Are you stupid or what? Benny's not here today to hold my hand. He's here to make sure I keep my mouth shut.
But if you're not guilty...
So what? What am I looking at?
Depends on your previous.
Anything's better than getting your head kicked in.
You are entitled to protection, you know.
Your worships, I'm informed that Mr. Harper has arrived and is waiting in the retiring room.
We'll take another short break.
All rise.
Has your witness shown up yet?
You trying to be funny?
Only we've got a full bench now and only 2 more adjournments.
I need a copy of the evidence against Joyce McCracken.
You want that case heard today?
She does.
I might give you another 20 minutes where there's life, there's hope and all that.
What you looking at?
Not much.
Number 14, David Robinson. How much longer is my client supposed to have to hang around?
The case will be heard very shortly.
It was scheduled for 10 o'clock this morning.
We've been missing a magistrate.
But you're not now. This really won't do. The delay is imposing a severe strain on my client.
I'm sorry.
We could poke holes in this, you know. Did the police offer to get you a solicitor when they charged you?
No, might have done.
If we took this to Crown Court in front of a jury, I'd be willing to bet...
How many more times? I want this over with today.
As your legal advisor, I must say, I think you're being very foolish.
As my legal advisor, you'll do what I tell you.
All right. But I can't guarantee you'll be sentenced today.
Well, why not?
Chances are the probation service will be asked to draw up a pre-sentence report.
And how long's that going to take?
3, 4 weeks.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Why the rush?
I'm leaving, going away, making a fresh start. If I have to come back in a month's time, Benny's going to know exactly where to find me. I'll never get away.
I see. So what sort of sentence are you looking for?
Fine. I've got money. Don't ask me where I got it, but I've got money.
I'll see what I can do.
If the share price is down by tonight, I'll be sending the court an invoice.
It's Joss Halliday you should be billing. It was her that didn't turn up.
If your worships would be prepared to hear 2 more bail enlargements, and then we can proceed with the trial.
Can't court 2 do that? This Dougal trial was scheduled for 10 o'clock.
The CPS isn't quite ready to proceed.
I beg your pardon?
All right. So what do I say to them?
Look, I feel a bit sick. Do you mind?
What do I say?
You tell them the truth. That I'm off it and that what they turned up was old stuff.
Joyce, the bench hears that sort of thing every day of the week. What's going to impress them is some sort of evidence.
How can you prove you're not doing something?
Attendance at a rehab unit, for instance. Have you been to see a doctor at all?
I just came off it, all right? I just did it.
Look at it from their point of view. You've got all this previous. Forgive me, Joyce. You don't look very well. You've been complaining of feeling sick. If I was one of them, I might be thinking you just decided to give up heroin on the bus coming here today. I'm just trying to tell you how the bench might look at it.
I'm pregnant, all right? I'm nearly 3 months pregnant, and I'm not having my baby born a junkie.
I see.
Subject to the conditions we've mentioned, you're bailed to appear again before this court 4 weeks from today. That's the 10th of next month.
Husband have had a call from our witness. He was at home all alone, too hungover to hear the police knocking.
I must warn you that should you fail
He's
to
taking
appear
2
at that
aspirin and
time,
he's calling a
you're
cab.
committing a separate offence and you're
How
on
long
the
will he
risk of
be?
being arrested
Swear
and
he's no longer
possibly
in the
being
court for
remanded
an
in
hour.
custody. Is that clear? Are we in a position to proceed with this trial now?
One moment, Your Worship. Well?
Can you give us another 15 minutes?
I'll put it to them, but they're in a lousy mood.
What about this possession case? Antony Mackie said his client wanted it heard today. By the time it's over, my witness could be here.
I'll see what I can do. Usher?
Joyce, you're going to have to let me use your pregnancy in mitigation.
Look, I've told you. No way. Not with Benny in court. I don't want him finding out.
Why? Is he not the father?
You just don't get it, do you? I don't want him finding out because this baby's my future. I am not having it taken away from me.
Excuse me. Mr. Vincent wants to know if you're ready to proceed.
Not yet, no.
Do you know how long you're going to be?
I've no idea.
Only the trial that was scheduled can't go ahead because the CPS is still waiting for a witness. I mean, it would give them time if your case could be heard, say, in the next 5 minutes.
It's not my job to bail out the CPS. Now, will you leave me in peace so that I can continue interviewing my client?
Sorry.
I'm sorry about that. Tell me what will be so very bad about Benny finding out.
I don't want him to.
Joyce, if you'd only agree to adjourn these proceedings...
How many more
I
times?
could get a doctor's statement, and with your testimony...
I'm not having him find
I
out.
could swing the bench. It might make a big difference in terms of any fine.
I've told you I've got money. Let's just get on with it.
Please, explain to me. Why mustn't Benny know?
Because he'll make me get rid of it.
How can you be sure? Joyce? Joyce!
Because that's what happened last time. Have you got tissue?
Here, take that.
You're asking us to put back the case again? On what grounds?
If it may please your worships, the witness who was central to the Crown's case has failed to appear this morning.
Mr. Harpy has broken an engagement to appear on the bench this morning. We were informed the witness was on his way.
That is correct, your worships, but so far he hasn't arrived.
Your worships, this is most unsatisfactory. The trial was supposed to commence an hour and a half ago, and as the prosecution are still not ready, I would ask the court to dismiss the charge against my client.
I don't think we've any choice in the matter. Ian Dougal, you're dismissed. I'm sorry, Paul.
One last thing. You say you've got money. Can I ask how much?
There's 300 quid there.
If they do decide to fine you today, the court's going to want to know where that money came from.
Got this punter, right? He's a regular, married. I told him he was a father. Threatened him with the child support agency and DNA testing. Gave me 300 quid for an abortion.
Yeah, well, I don't think we'll tell that to the court. Leave it with me.
You were in here an awful long time. What'd you talk about?
You wanted to know what happened. I didn't mention you.
Something amusing you?
No, nothing at all.
Number 9, Joyce McCracken.
Right behind you, sweetheart.
I know you.
I know you. P.C. Harrison.
Duncan. Benny Duncan. What are you up to these days?
Is this where old coppers come to die?
Still flogging the dirty videos?
I don't do that anymore.
Oh, just the pimping and the drugs, is it then?
I'm a reformed man. I learned my lesson.
Which is?
Don't get caught.
Do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty. I mean guilty.
I want to repeat the question. Are you guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
You're quite sure in your own mind of that?
Quite sure.
Is this in accordance with your instructions?
It is, Your Worships. I would like to ask on behalf of my client that this case be concluded today. It's all been very stressful for her, as I'm sure Your Worships can appreciate.
The police will have done something this morning.
We'll see how it goes, Mr. Mackie. Sit down. Are you able to proceed?
I am, your worships.
Good.
If it may please your worships, the facts of the case are straightforward. The defendant, Miss McCracken, is a tenant on the Clement Attlee estate, residing at number 21A Bevan Road, Bexham. On the afternoon of the 20th of last month, officers of the Metropolitan Police Drug Squad called at the house armed with a warrant. Miss McCracken verbally abused the officers and had to be physically restrained in order for them to gain entry to the premises and to carry out their search. Eventually, the officers discovered, hidden in a pair of socks at the bottom of a wardrobe, 2 small cellophane packages containing quantities of a white powder. Upon subsequent analysis by the Forensic Science Laboratory, this was identified as a mixture of common or garden talcum powder and diamorphine, or to give it its more usual name, heroin. 1.8 grams altogether. The defendant was arrested and charged. She remained uncooperative throughout the inquiry, answering all police questions with further verbal abuse. She was bailed to appear in court this morning. I have here a list of the defendant's previous convictions. There is an application for costs in the sum of £50. March 1993, possession of cannabis resin, fined £80. January 1994, possession of amphetamine sulfate, fined £150. February 1994, possession of amphetamine sulfate again, 6 months probation. November 1994, possession of heroin, 120 hours community service. She failed fully to comply with the terms of her community service order and was fined a further £150.
And is that all?
Well, all the other convictions relate to soliciting as a common prostitute, Your Worship.
Very well. Mr. Mackie.
Nothing that we've heard so far today, Your Worships, has sought to place my client in a particularly flattering light. What you have not heard, of course, is any background to the case. Miss McCracken never knew her father. She was brought up by her mother, who was herself an alcoholic and seldom there. At the age of 12, she was taken into care. She has neither seen nor heard from her mother from that day to this. At the age of 16, finding herself homeless, jobless, and hungry, she fell prey to the pimps and pushers who are, dare I say, the real criminals in this case. I've only known Miss McCracken a short while, but in that time she's impressed me with her determination to forge for herself some self-respect from the wreckage of what has, up until now, passed for a life. I can, with some degree of confidence, assert that Miss McCracken has, entirely through her own efforts, kicked the drug habit for good and renounced prostitution as the easy solution to her financial problems. A few weeks ago, she experienced some luck in that she won a sum of money on a scratch card. She has used some of this to pay off her outstanding debts. The heroin the police found was a hangover of the old Joyce McCracken. She is determined to make a fresh start in her life. It would serve the interests of both justice and common sense if your worships were to take a lenient view in this matter.
Excuse me one moment. I'm a little concerned about your client. You're right, young lady.
Miss McCracken is suffering a touch of flu today, your worship, but she's managed to struggle in regardless.
Do you have anything further to say?
Only that my client wishes to make a fresh start in her life. I've already referred to the sum of money she won. She would be happy to forfeit that money if this case could be concluded today. Joyce McCracken has every intention of putting her past behind her, your worships. I would urge that you help her in her endeavour.
Apart from this fortuitous win, what are Miss McCracken's financial circumstances?
My client is on income support, your worship, a sum of £46.50 per week. She's also in receipt of housing benefit.
We shall retire.
All rise. It's brilliant, thanks. What do you reckon?
I wouldn't care to speculate.
I've lost count of how many times I've heard Antony Mackie give that speech. They've always had a lousy childhood. They're always the victims of a cruel and heartless world. You'd think butter wouldn't melt. Did you see the state of her? Fresh start, my foot near as damn it, puked up in court.
Anybody got anything to eat? I'm supposed to be sitting down in a restaurant with my broker around now.
Be grateful. Right, can I call this meeting to order? First things first, have we prepared a sentence this morning?
Well, if we don't, this morning's been a complete waste of time for me.
We really should be asking for a pre-sentence report.
Oh, for goodness sake, Dan, do we have to? We've had a whole morning snarled up with red tape and got us precisely nowhere. If we order a pre-sentence report, we know what it's going to say. I mean, do you really think she's going to benefit from community service or probation? Did her damn all good in the past.
Can I be blunt? The woman's a prostitute, right? How much is she earning? Scratch card win my backside. Does she pay tax? If the revenue can't take it off her, then we should. Let's fine her.
We should really be considering what's best for her.
6 months in Holloway.
Oh, that'd really feed her habit.
It'd keep her off the streets for a start. You go and ask the residents down Goodleaf Road.
Let's stick to the sentencing guidelines.
She's got the money. Let's find her the top whack.
Seconded.
I won't be steamrolled.
Imagine Joe Bloggs sitting in the public gallery this morning. What will he have seen? A dozen adjournments and a trial that didn't happen. We've got to be seen to be doing something. You agree with me? Don't you, Paul?
They probably can't agree.
Is that a good sign?
Depends who wins the argument.
I need the toilet. Can I slip out for 2 minutes?
Court rise.
Don't worry, I'll be all right.
Joyce McCracken. We've listened carefully to the submission from your solicitor, and we've discussed your case in depth. We've given you credit for your guilty plea, but this offence is a serious one, and as such must demand an appropriate penalty. You find the sum of £250, which along with the prosecution costs makes the sum of £300 altogether. We're also ordering that the drugs seized from you be destroyed. Do you understand? The money's due now. How much can you pay?
My client is in a position to pay off that entire amount today, Your Worship.
It's only to be hoped that your experience today will force you to make a reassessment of your life, and you begin to take some responsibility for yourself. You may go, and I hope we don't see you here again. We'll break for lunch.
Court rise.
It's all the money I've got in the world.
You do what you said you would. Get right away from here as soon as you can.
I feel sick again.
Good luck with the baby.
Guess what? Your witness has just turned up and you owe me 15 quid for the taxi. I'd like to pay my fine.
Name?
Joyce. Joyce McCracken.
Is that an M, small c or an MAC?
What's my money?
Do you want me to call security?
It was here. It's in my bag. I got it out of my bag to show Mr. Mackie when I came down the stairs, but I put it in again. I could have sworn I did. It was here.
What's the problem?
My money.
What money?
The money for my fine. It was in an envelope, a brown envelope.
You lost it?
Oh, my God.
It's all right, take it easy. How much was it? 300?
Doing?
What do you think I'm doing? I'm looking after you, aren't I? Eh? Like I always have. Like I always do.
I had the money.
Does that take care of it all? Do you have to sign anywhere?
I still think I should get security. Wait there.
It's all right, she's been looked after. My boyfriend. Come on. Yeah, don't worry about that money, sweetheart. You owe it to me. There's no rush. As soon as you feel ready to get back to work, Benny's going to look after you. And do you know what? I've got something in the motor that's going to make you feel much better.
There's another case next Sunday night in Accused at the earlier time of 11:35 here on BBC One.